Recording in progress.
Have you ever wondered if your heart rate rises or falls while you're playing a video game? Well, we are wondering the same thing, so that's what we decided to test for our project. I'm Miranda, and I am a sophomore at MSU, and I'm also a journalism major.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm also a sophomore at MSU, but I'm a psychology major.
So for video games, we tested calm versus stressful games. And for the stressful games, we mainly played horror games and scary games because we knew that they would raise our heart rate. And for the calm games, we decided to play coloring games and just games that were more low stress that would probably lower our heart rate. And we just wanted to research how these different games would affect a person's heart rate. For the background research part, we looked into articles that talked more about this topic, and in Porter et al., a 2019 research, stressful games produced higher heart rate compared to calm games, and players' perception of threat influenced cardiovascular response. Calm games produce steadier heart activity as well, so it was found that the more stressful games had higher heart rates and the calmer games had lower heart rates.
And one more thing about that is that how the players interpreted the game, their however they interpreted it affected how their heart rate might rise or fall because it's whether they see it as a threat or something manageable that um they can decide on.
And
Um,
for go
And for our second round of research, we found that stressful or high intensity games produced more sympathetic nervous system activation, which is your fight or flight response. So, calm or less damaging games showed stabilization of HRV and suggesting that they can help maintain this cardiovascular balance that your heart rate isn't fluctuating so much.
Yeah, and the HRV stands for heart rate variability, by the way.
And for our
And
last bit of research, we learned that um, heart rate reflects stress levels. So during gameplay, if you're stressed out, your heart rate will be higher. So it makes it a valid measurement for adaptive systems on whether or not your heart rate obviously rises or falls when you're playing something. And stressful or scary games produce noticeable increases in heart rate, while calmer games are usually resulted in lower or stable, like your original heart rate. And it suggests that calm games could be leveraged for therapeutic or relaxation purposes. And then the more stressful games show the body's sensitivity to emotional content and environmental triggers.
hello, Caroline.
There you are. You got out for a
Your
second.
internet connection is unstable.
You cut out as well. Um,
Did I say everything or did I?
no, can you say it again for the video?
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. Um, Heart rate reliability reflects stress levels during the gameplay, which makes it valid for measuring adaptive systems. Stressful or scary games will produce more noticeable increases in your heart rate, and calmer games will keep you at like a steady heart rate of whatever your resting is, or it could even lower it further than that. It just depends on your reaction. So these findings suggest that calm games could be leveraged for therapeutic or relaxation purposes, so playing like a calm game to relax yourself during a stressful day or something. But stressful games also show that the body is sensitive to emotional content and environmental triggers.
And for the basics, our research question was, can a person's heart rate be higher when they're playing a stressful game? And our hypothesis is that a person's heart rate would increase when they play anxiety-inducing games.
And there are like quite a few co-founding variables that there could be for our experiment. So I just wanted to talk about a few. Um, We saw that a co-founding variable would be the same person playing the same game because they both can have different responses and different amounts of sensitivity. Using the same device because it can affect the experience of the game itself. Same time of day because heart rate can differ throughout the day. Same atmosphere of where you're playing because environmental factors can make the experience more stressful or calming, which can be like lighting, temperature, if there's anybody near you. And the order of gameplay because if you play the anxiety-inducing one first, it could impact the calming one.
And a little bit more about our methods, our sample size. So basically what we did for this experiment was we collected 30 minutes of anxiety inducing or the more horror games, and then we collected 30 minutes of gameplay for the calm games. And we did that for 5 days straight, and then we collected the highest heart rate that we found for each of that 30 minutes, and that's what we used to collect our data. And just a little bit of a step-by-step of how we collected this data so that if someone wanted to collect this at home, they can do so. We started the experiment at a set time each day, and we did it at the same place in the same environment, so that wouldn't change any of the results for the experiment. And then the second step is to put on an Apple Watch, and then your third step would to be to choose a game for whatever category it is. And four is just to make sure that your heart rate is at resting before you start the experiment, before you play the game, because if you don't do that, then you can't get accurate results. And then step five is to play the game for 30 minutes. So the rest of the steps for this would be to record your highest BPM, your highest heart rate within the 30 minutes, and then to allow your heart rate to go down again back to resting before you play the second genre. And then you would play the second game for 30 minutes and you would record your highest BPM within the 30 minutes. And right there is a picture of me and Caroline playing one of the games and collecting our little data.
So,
And so, go ahead.
sorry. For standard error analysis, there are two main reasons we chose this, and it is because it offers a complete picture and it is easier to test the hypothesis. And it shows the complete picture because it specifically addresses how well a sample statistic represents the population parameter. And then it's an easier to test your hypothesis because it can usually be used to determine whether an observed effect is statistically significant or because of random chance. And this is our data table. You can see the average heart rate or the highest heart rate for the horror games and the calm games for each day. So you, for example, like day one, the average heart rate, highest heart rate is 77 for calm and 112 for horror on the first day. And you can see that there's like a little bit of variation, but not a lot. And then this is our graph. We chose like a bar graph to kind of represent the two games more so you can see a clear difference. And you can see that it is more likely or it was more often seen that your heart rate was higher during a scary or anxiety-inducing game. And our R values, our two values was 0.63 for the anxiety-inducing game and 0.74, and you can see the variation.
I think it's important too for this graph. It captures the average BPM, so that is why just some of the numbers might be lower than you expect as well.
So for the results of our study, we found that the heart rate is generally higher while playing a horror game or an anxiety-inducing game, and everybody's heart rate will fluctuate differently depending on who's playing or their environment, and that call games tend to lower their heart rate.
So in the end, is our hypothesis supported or refuted? So again, our research question was, can a person's heart rate be higher when they're playing stressful games? And our hypothesis was a person's heart rate would increase when they are playing anxiety-inducing or stressful games. So in the end, we found that our hypothesis is supported since the BPM of the player increased during stressful games, and that's what we thought would happen. So ways that we would improve this hypothesis if we were to do it again would definitely be the game choice. Just because when we were trying to find like scary games for our anxiety-inducing choice, it took us around 30 minutes, which would be the amount of time that we play the game to find a game. So it took us a lot longer, and we didn't stay consistent with the game we were playing because we had a hard time finding ones that would really raise our BPM. So I definitely think that is something we would change is just the types of games we were playing or be consistent with the game that we were playing. If we found one that would work, we would stick with that and we would take note of that. And then another thing that I think we would change or improve would be the person playing. Both of us decided to play the game, um, and we just split it up between the 5 days. But the thing with that is that the data was quite inconsistent because my heart rate rested a lot lower than hers. So her heart rate spiked a lot higher than mine did. So that just made the data a little bit more inconsistent. And so I think the data would be more consistent if one person was playing the game throughout all of it. And this is our bibliography. It just has um, the three sources that we used in the beginning when we were looking at research about anxiety-inducing games, stressful games, and the difference between calm games. And then it also has some sources that we used when we were researching standard error and how that would be more helpful for our project compared to other ways. I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video and listening to this presentation. I hope you learned something new. We definitely were very interested in this topic. We both like video games, so it was definitely really cool to learn more and just see the difference about how calm games really can like lower your heart rate and realize how high like stressful games can actually make your heart rate go as well. So I hope you all have a great day and thank you again for watching.